Erev Tov. We're continuing our series about Parshat Balak. And today I want to ask you a question. The name of the Parsha is Parshat Balak. And it's kind of weird because we know usually we don't like to use the name of the mean guys in the Torah and in the Bible and just generally like, Haman and Hitler and Nebuchadnezzar. This is all of the names that usually come with a very negative context. And no one will call his son, I believe. I never heard of someone that call his son Balak, like a Jewish person, or we don't going to call a synagogue Beit Balak or Nachlat Balak or something like that. So to have a full Parsha that names after Balak, there's so many possibilities of how to call the Parsha. So that's an interesting question, right? And I saw an explanation from the Rabbi of Chabad, Rabbi Milubavitch. By the way, his yortzeit was really recently in the beginning of Chodesh Tamuz. He said that's exactly the opposite that we're doing, because we named the Parsha Balak, but the truth is anyone who thinks about Parshat Balak knows the end, right? Anyone who knows Parshat Balak knows that even though there was a trying to curse Bnei Israel, to curse the Jewish nation, exactly the opposite happens. And if so, a lot of blessing that we know, that we say to each other in bar mitzvot, in weddings, just generally blessing about the Jewish nation comes from our Parsha. So many beautiful verses that comes from the mouth of Bilam and being quoted in the Parshat of Balak. So the Rabbi of Chabad explains this is exactly the opposite. When we call the Parsha Parshat Balak, we're doing for him exactly the opposite of what he wanted. This is not a respect we're giving him. We're kind of mocking him. And if he was alive, it was very sad to know that every time someone mentioning his name, all the Jewish nation thinking, oh, what a beautiful Parsha. We're going to read this Shabbos. We're going to read all the blessing. Now, another question he asked, the person who did all the cursing was Bilam. So why to call the Parsha Balak? This is very confusing. I remember myself as a kid in like first grade and second grade, I was like, so who's the one that giving the cursing and who's the king? The name of the Parsha is Balak. So the automatic question of the teacher will be, who was the one that that want to curse Bnei Israel and bless them? Everyone says Balak. Oh, right, it's Bilam. So why to name it after Balak? And this is teach us another important lesson of it's right that Bilam was the one that did the action of wanted to curse and bless eventually, but Balak was the person who arranged that. He was the person behind the idea, and it's coming to teach us how even just being the one that tells people to do something, you can say, I didn't was the one to do it, right? This is what them. By the way, in the Holocaust, so many, one of the excuses was, that was Hitler, that was the leadership. The people in the not in the commanders, just follow the rules. So that's an important lesson to teach. When you're involved with something, you might going to end up calling that thing after your name. So it's going either way, right? For Balak, it went to the bad way. So he really wanted to do something bad. Eventually, we call it after his name because it's good for us, bad for him. But it's also true for good deeds. Meaning, even if you just want to be involved in something, you're just arranging a beautiful event of chesed. You're not the one that's actually doing it. You're just called for someone to do something, or you're convincing something to do tzedakah. So yes, he's the one that did it. He's the one that did the zchut, but you're getting actual part of just wanting it, just arranging that. So how much power do we have just about thinking of something, of being part of something? Just the fact I'm part of an organization, right? Not always I'm the one that's doing the action, but consider me. I'm part of this organization. So I hope we will all choose to be part of good deeds, even we're not the one that actually doing it, and then maybe eventually we'll be called after our name.